Broadband infrastructure, that was a big part of the discussion you just had, Gary, with Michael Powell, and one of the comments he made, he said that there's 3 of the 4 infrastructures in this country are decrepit, and the one that isn't is broadband. What were your thoughts on that?
I can't say that as eloquently as Michael said it, but when you take a look at that, Ken, and you see what's going on in our world, you do talk about bridges being troubled, falling apart. You talk about highways falling apart, the infrastructure for the electrical grid, and what goes on there, and the challenges with security and all that. The internet is one of those shining spots that's really allowed industry to grow, allows small businesses to compete, and even the smallest parts of our world, they're able to compete because of the internet, and there's been a light regulatory touch on that along the line. I know there's some groups that are trying to bring it the other way, but we have a light regulatory touch, and if we do our job, we allow our customers to access the internet, we're going to have the best thing going forward, especially when some of those other public services out there are struggling. So it's great to see that.
Well, and one of the things, too, is there's this constant reinvestment you have to make. I mean, it's gone from 0 to a gigabit in 20 years, right?
Well, Michael also made the comment today, at some point, speed is not going to be an issue. And we find that with our customers already because they buy a certain package, they get the service, they get the speed they're wanting, they're able to connect with things they want to connect to. And so it goes forward. Our next step is not only investing in new products, but investing to make sure the products we have work extremely well. There's redundancies, there's backups, so when a customer logs on, they have their broadband pipeline, it works every time. And so we have to be able to have the resources in place to continue that day 1, day 2, and day 200 down the road, and then maybe even the next 100 years to be able to have that pipeline in place.
And make sure it's a secure pipeline, too. The cybersecurity you didn't talk much about in this panel.
Boy, yesterday when we talked about cybersecurity, you're kind of wondering if you're either being hacked or you are hacked and don't know it. I mean, it's just a matter of what point in time that somebody's trying to get into your system. And I think that's one of the jobs as providers to make sure we do everything we can do to keep our systems secure. At some point, you're going to have some group trying to get in, trying to do that. And we also have to educate our customers, because if our customers do not have secure services and secure processes, then it's going to get into the system one way or another. So it takes a group to make that happen, but as leaders in broadband, we're providing that service. That's one of our jobs, to make sure that we do have a secure service and do the best job we can of making that happen.
Yeah, and that's an investment in time and people, right?
Boy, and money, time, people, money to make that happen, because none of this comes without a cost. And if you have to provide a group of people in there to do that, there's cost to be able to do that as well. But if we don't make that happen, the end result is not good for anyone. Same way with redundant systems. If you don't have a redundant system and once something happens bad, lightning, bad storm, tornadoes, et cetera, all those bad things can happen in addition to hacking and cyber stuff. If you don't have the redundant system, that costs money too. And so those dollars that go into that, the things we learned by being at a show like what we're at and the vendors we have here to help protect us from some of those things is so very, very important to us independent operators.
Well, and that touches upon a point Powell made about the idea of you build it, that's not the end of it. You still have to operate it, right?
Well, that's really our job, because as independent operators, smaller operators, you can put some things in place, but the resources are not unlimited. So in our case, we have to work hard to make sure what we do is there for our customers and build out where we need to. But then the next step of that is making sure that we provide a terrific service every day this year and next year, and put the resources in place and the people in place. Eagle's an employee-owned company. And so every one of our employee owners is out there trying to make sure that happens. If we don't, the customers have other places to go.
Well, and it's a very rural area too, right? So you're spread out a long ways, right?
Well, there's a lot of miles between some places. And when something happens, and again, bad weather, those types of things, we have a truck roll, and it's not always a 2-mile truck roll. It could be a 200-mile truck roll to make sure that happens, to get that customer back on. But that's our job, is to make sure that connection is good and that we're connected not only with our communities, but with our customers.
Excellent. Well, Gary, always great catching up with you.
It is fun to be here. Thanks for all you do.
Thanks.
Have a great show.
Thank you.